Half-Shell Oyster House offers award-winning cuisine and service. Named TripAdvisor Best Top 10 Small Chains in the United States. Voted Best Seafood in Mississippi Magazine 8 times. You can enjoy award-winning oysters and seafood, delicious steaks, pastas, sandwiches, salads, and so much more in a unique, polished, casual dining experience. Half-Shell Oyster House is located at 115 Laurel Park Cove, Suite 105, Flowood, Mississippi 39232. Or you can give them a call at 769-257-7586. And hey, tell them Sonya sent you.
She say sports. She say sports. She say sports. She say sports.
Hey y'all, it's your girl Sonya, and welcome back to She Say Sports. Today I have with me owner, founder, editor, and producer of D210 Sports, Mr. Vernon Hadnot. Hey Vernon, how are you?
I'm doing well. How you doing?
First of all, I don't call you Vernon. I call you V. So V, how are you?
V is doing well. And how about yourself? How are you?
I am doing well. This is our first time seeing each other since before the pandemic, because I haven't sang for the Mavericks in maybe almost 3 years now.
It's been about 3 years. Yes, that is correct. About 3 years.
That's crazy. So how's your family, speaking of the pandemic, and how's everybody doing?
Everybody's doing well, still trying to get adjusted. I'm still got my gloves on or whatever, and I would have had my mask on if I was outside. So we're doing good. I'm still trying to adjust, even though things seem like they're getting a little bit better. I'm still kind of apprehensive, and I still feel comfortable with the gloves and with the mask on. So
as you
I had someone give me a dirty look the other day because they looked down and saw that they had the blue gloves on, because they are kind of loud, and just shook their head. And I'm just like, hey, that's just what I'm comfortable with.
Choice.
Yeah.
Just like it's their choice to not wear it, it's your choice to wear it, and that's okay. That
absolutely
is all right. And V, I was thinking about it earlier. Did we meet when I started singing for the Mavericks in 2006, or did we meet at church?
We met at church. I was helping the video team out, and on Sundays we would always go whenever there was a break between services. We would go upstairs and eat for a little brunch or whatever. So that's where I first met you.
Yeah, because I was thinking, I think I met him at church. Yeah, we went to a church together in the McKinney area. I'm sorry, no, Carrollton area, and we used to have so much fun. It was just an amazing time at that time. The choir, anointed. It was a beautiful time. It really was.
It was really a beautiful time.
It really was. So enough of the small talk. Let's get to why I got you here. So
okay.
I always ask people this question because I don't know if it's because I'm curious or just nosy, but I have to ask about when people start certain careers. When did you get started in photography and videography? Was that something you wanted to do as a child, or how did that start for you?
It was actually something that I wanted to do as a kid when I was younger. Mm-hmm. And I can remember probably in first grade, my dad used to take me to school every day. And at that time, they had these Jack in the Box commercials with Rodney Allen Ripley. And so when I would see those, I would tell my dad, I want to be on TV. I want to be on TV. And every day he would tell me, okay, I'm getting closer. We're going to be on TV. So from there, I always had an interest in video and photography. And when I went to college, that was actually, that's what I minored in. And I played football, so I thought I was going to play football. But in the back of my mind, it's like, man, if I ever make it, I want to buy. I'm hopeful if I make it, I have enough money to buy me some video equipment, and I can do A, B, C, and D. So I didn't make it in football, but it did pan out that it became a career doing video and photography.
Wow, that's interesting. I mean, you seeing those commercials and just, that's what you wanted, and it panned out. It worked. So that's amazing. And I was going to ask you later on, did you even play sports? So you did. You played football. You played at an early age, or just when you got to like high school or something like that?
I actually started playing football when I was in the first grade. So I was, I guess, around 7 years old. And I played all the way up until I was in college.
Really?
And I went to the University of the Pacific. At that time, we were in the Big West Conference with San Jose State, New
Hmm.
Mexico State, UNLV, Fresno, um, and did I say Utah State? And Utah State,
Wow.
along with a couple other teams. And we were a Division I program. We weren't all that great, but we were competitive.
Well, I mean,
So
hey, that's what it's about. You were competitive. And what position did you play?
I played running back.
Okay, interesting. I never knew that.
Yeah.
I never knew that, because I was wondering, like, I always think, why does a person want to work in the sports industry? Because that's not the norm,
Hmm.
so to speak. Most parents, they want you to either be teachers, doctors, lawyers, stuff like that. Or if you make it, as an athlete. So that's awesome. So you worked as a director for Fox Sports Network on the Drew Pearson Show and won numerous national awards, from public service announcements to live on air television broadcasts. Did those awards and being honored encourage you to want to do more with your career?
You know what? The first video award that I received was back with the city of Austin, and it was a team effort. Oh man, that was back in the late '80s, early '90s, and
Mhm.
so that kind of gave me a little bit of motivation of wanting to kind of hone my craft a little bit and become
Okay.
a lot better in what I wanted to do. And it
Mhm.
kind of gave me the inspiration of doing my own show, because I would see stuff on TV, and I would always, when I would go back to edit stuff, I was like, let me see if I can emulate, what I just saw or whatever.
Right.
So that kind of gave me the motivation of wanting to actually try to get better each and every time I approach the production.
Got you. So how did DT, I don't know why I can't say D210 Sports. I always want to say D10. D210 Sports come about.
D210 Sports came about. It was a spinoff from a show that I used to do in Austin, Texas, when I lived there. I did
Hmm.
it was an entertainment sports show called After Dark. We'd come on at 12:30 midnight to 2 o'clock in the morning. And basically what it was, I was the host of the show, and I would bring entertainers, and I'd bring sports figures on. Um, and it was
Hmm.
sort of a magazine live show, so to speak. And that's how it originated. A few years after that, I moved here in the Dallas Fort Worth Metroplex area. And oh, let me go back. And we were actually on Time Warner Cable at that time. So
Okay.
transitioning and moving to Dallas or whatever, I was trying to find a spot, and because I knew I still wanted to do the show, but I did not want to be so much in front of the camera as I was getting older. And I had this thing or whatever. I've gotten older, and when you get older as a man, it feels like your face just expands and it gets big and stuff. I was like,
Thanks a
you know
lot.
what? I kind of want to be behind the scenes, because that's
Thanks
what
a
I
lot.
really. No, no, I'm saying as a male, when a male gets older, it does. I mean, it's like, damn. Just like when they, and I know I'm getting off the subject, just like they were saying, like Barry Bonds' head was getting big, he was doing steroids. Like, no, that's not true. I think it's just as you get older, that is just one of the genetic things that
Hmm.
happens as a person. But getting back on track, so I moved here to Dallas, and at that time, I was searching for a place to try to get my show aired, and the only place that I could get it aired at that time was DCTV, which was Dallas Community Television.
Mhm.
And at that time, I ventured more off, not so much in the sports, but back into the entertainment, because I had a lot of those entertainment connections. Um, and after a couple of years, there was a guy that I knew that was working at Time Warner,
Mhm.
um, that mentioned that they were going to be bringing on the Texas channel um, for Time Warner Cable, and
Mhm.
asked, did I know of anybody that was interested in actually getting their show aired on that channel. And I was like, yeah, me.
Yeah.
And so I said, I have the content or whatever, I do a lot of entertainment stuff. And at that time I hadn't really ventured off into covering a specific sports team.
Mm-hmm.
And so he and I met. I gave him a few of my old shows or whatever. And then from there, that's how that relationship with Time Warner / Spectrum Cable kind of started. A few years after the Texas channels started establishing themselves, they were bought out by Spectrum Sports.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was told that in order to keep my show running, that it would need to be a sports show. I could still have some of the entertainment stuff on there, but it would basically need to be, a lot more sports and less entertainment. And so at that time, I was covering the Dallas Mavericks and I was covering FC Dallas. And so what I did was I just changed all of that content right there from entertainment, and I transitioned it into sports. And that's basically how I started the sports, covering sports on a regular basis.
So how did you come up with the name D210 Sports? Oh my gosh.
At the office that I was in at that time, the room number was D210. And as a kid, I used to watch a show called Room 222. And I always loved that name, and just thought, you know what? That might be a cool name or whatever, D210. And that's how D210 actually started. And as the years went by with the Texas channel and Spectrum Cable, the name has kind of changed, especially when we started a website. It was called D210.tv. Then it was called D210 TV. And then it was called D210 Sports. And then we just finally figured that we should just call it D210 Sports.
So you kind of went through like Puff Daddy, Puff Daddy, Puffy, whatever he is now. So we're stopping at D210 Sports. And D210 Sports is a cutting edge and fast-paced 30-minute sports video magazine. And you mentioned, because I've never heard of a video magazine until you said in Austin, y'all had it was like a video magazine. Can you elaborate more on that? I know what it means, but just elaborate on what a video magazine is.
So basically how I produce those shows is we go and we cover the teams from practice to game day. And then we do a lot of the behind the scenes stuff too, as well as kind of preparing for the game day or kind of preparing for that recap following practice. And most of the sports teams, well, not most sports teams, all the sports teams always have like community events. So we kind of add in some of those community events along with the post and pregame wrap ups. We kind of all condense that together. And then we do a lot of the, fan reaction stuff too as well. So that's kind of pretty much how we kind of make that into a video magazine show. We try to make it, because everyone's attention span is now more geared towards like, social media and TikTok. So we try to make those segments like really, really short. And sometimes during the production, what we'll actually take the first 15 minutes of that show and add it to the following 15 minutes of it to make it a 30-minute show. So that way, if you missed it the first time, you can always catch it the second time around in that 30 minutes.
I love it. So instead of reading, you're watching, you got your video magazine, you're just watching it. I love it.
You're just watching it.
That's a good idea. So what sports teams do you cover? I know you say you covered Dallas, FC, what was the other one?
We cover the Dallas Cowboys, the Dallas Mavericks, FC Dallas, the Dallas Wings, and we cover TCU men's basketball and football, as well as SMU men's basketball and football.
That's great. So who are your correspondents, and did they have to have experience to be part of D210 Sports?
Yes. In the beginning, they didn't have to, because in the beginning we were mainly entertainment, and so I I just kind of threw that together. But as we grew and started transitioning and then transitioning into sports, I started requiring the reporters to have a little bit more, to have experience in sports and know and have knowledge of football and, in basketball and soccer. Our Dallas Cowboy reporter now is Brittany Bowen, which she also covers the Dallas Mavericks. But prior to that, Brianna Dix, who covered the Cowboys for us for 4 years, just moved on to start working with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Okay.
And so we've had numerous reporters to actually go on and cover other sports teams and
That's
join
awesome.
other networks.
That is great. Yeah. I asked him to let me work with them. He wouldn't let me.
No, that's not.
I was so sad. I was so sad. I was heartbroken. I was working on my master's in sports administration, and he wouldn't let me do it.
No. But you had
Look,
moved. You had moved.
I would have came back.
Well, you need to come back then.
Don't play with me.
I'm serious. You need to come back. Serious business.
I was like, that is so freaking dope. That's why I asked. I said, so did they have to have experience? I was asking on the slide. But no,
well, yeah.
Go ahead.
In the beginning, it just kind of panned out because where it really kind of took off is when Narelle Dixon, who used to cover the Mavericks, she was an All-American softball, a 4-time All-American softball player at OU. And so Narelle had a lot of knowledge of sports. Mm-hmm. And so that kind of had me thinking that, the people that I should be bringing on should, have a knowledge of sports. And I've had some people who've come on and I thought that they could pull it off, and it just didn't work out just because they didn't, not that they weren't good, they just couldn't grasp the game, whether that was football, basketball, or soccer.
And not saying that they had to know everything, but if you don't know a little of those games, it's a challenge for you to kind of talk about it. So
yeah, it is definitely a challenge because one reporter that I had, she was really, really good, but she just didn't have the knowledge of the game. And so that kind of took me away from some of the things that we wanted to do, because basically I was just kind of writing a script for her, during practice and, also during the games. And then it just didn't come off as if it was coming off natural. So right. That's why I require, you got to have some knowledge of the game to be able to do it. I mean, you can talk football and basketball.
But if there's no passion behind it.
But if there's no passion behind it, then it just, it just doesn't work.
Right.
And especially with doing a recap, because a recap is pretty much fast. You got to absorb all that information from a 48-minute game in basketball or a 60-minute game in football. You got to condense that into a minute and 30 seconds, which I require or whatever, and know that and have it come off without a glitch.
So what I love, and this is why I wanted to be a part, because I loved how you had just women correspondents. What made you do that? Why did you just want women correspondents for your show? I mean, I know why, but
no, in the beginning, I thought it would be easier to get interviews with the players. And that was because I just didn't, in the beginning, I just really didn't know. And I was like, well, maybe if we have female reporters, maybe we can get some of those interviews, and maybe, the guys would be more in tune to do those. And as I found out as we were doing it, if you know sports, then they're going to talk whether you're male or female. Gotcha. So it kind of worked out. I've had some males to kind of come through there, but it didn't. Some of the males just didn't have the drive or whatever, and just got too comfortable with being around in that environment. So
I got you.
But I would love to have more males to help support what we're doing.
Okay, awesome. Now, like I mentioned before, we both I worked for the Dallas Mavericks, and just like me, I'm sure you're very excited what's going on in the playoffs right now with our Mavs versus Utah. They lead 3-2. And what are your thoughts on this playoff? Because you've been seeing it in person. So what are your thoughts?
I think the Mavs should be able to close it out tomorrow night. They should have won game 1 and they should have won game 3. I just think right now they're playing cohesive as a team, and I feel that they have a coach that is getting the best out of his players. And that's not to take away from what Carlisle did, but I just think just having a new coach and just a fresh approach on the game and being able to relate, especially to those younger players, really, really has helped that team out.
And I really think it makes a difference because Jason will coach Kidd. He actually played for the Mavs. He had two stints with the Mavs, and he was on that 2011 NBA championship team as well too. So it's just different. He's, like you say, it's a new, fresh approach. And I love Coach Carlisle. He did an awesome job, and it was just time for something else. And I think Jason is doing an amazing job. So how do you feel about Luka? Do you feel like Luka is Dirk 2.0?
No, I feel Luka is Larry Bird and Magic Johnson 2.0. Just his game. He's a closer. And that's not to take away anything from Dirk.
No, I got it. Yeah.
But Luka, I've always said that I thought he was a version of Magic Johnson and Larry Bird all in the one.
That's nice.
Yeah.
That's a nice mix. I got it.
Because a lot of people forget about Larry Bird and Magic Johnson. When you talk basketball, it's always LeBron, but there were, those two were the pioneers, two of the pioneers of basketball in itself that helped elevate the game.
Right, and especially that era, because with them, then of course Dr. J, you got
Dr. J.
But they were like the blueprint of that era that started early 80s to late 90s, early 2000s.
That was like mid 80s, like 82, like 82, where it started with those two.
Exactly. So wow, that's a nice. Now tomorrow I'm gonna be watching him just to look for that, because I never put that combination together. That's nice. That's really nice. Besides the Mavs, what other teams or players are on your radar in this playoff? In this NBA
really,
playoff?
For me, really, it's the Mavs, and because that's the team that we cover.
You like Ja Morant for Memphis?
Yes, I think he has a lot of game. I think he and Luka could, have that Larry Bird, Magic Johnson type of rivalry between them. Although I know they play in the same conference, I mean, that dude can play.
He can play, and that when he had the tomahawk dunk last night, I almost fell off the couch because I started like really checking him out last season in the playoffs. I know they went out in the first round, but I like his flash. I like his confidence. I like the way he plays. It's just, he is exciting. So that's my favorite exciting player next to Luka right now. I'm a Bulls fan first and foremost, but I don't think we're making it out of this first round. So my Mavs got to pull it through. We got to do this. So
I think they're going to do it.
I think so too. So do you think we'll make, because Boston is somebody, they're not playing in the East, and I really think that they're going to the championship. What are your thoughts?
I think Boston will make it from the East, and in the West, there's some tough teams. Phoenix, Memphis.
Yeah.
There's just some tough teams. So the Mavericks are going to have depends on who they play in the second round. It kind of depends, because it's not so much as the talent. It's just matchups or whatever. It's just who they match up well against.
Okay. Well, I'm looking forward to tomorrow night. That's for sure. And I'm hoping that we take it on to the championship game. So Vernon, before I let you go, it's a game that I play called "You Can Get With This or You Can Get With That." And what that
Okay.
is, it's just a way for me and the listeners to get to know the guests better. I'll ask you a few
Okay.
questions and you choose the one that best fits you, okay?
Okay.
Do you prefer saving money or spending money?
Saving.
Especially since you have a wife, so you're trying to save.
And I have two daughters too.
Oh yeah,
so
you sure do.
I'm not even gonna go there with the other.
Yes,
with the
that's
other.
fine. So you're the saver.
I'm the saver.
As far as toilet paper, do you prefer over or under? I hate under so bad. Please tell me you hate it too.
I hate it too. I hate it too. No, I do. I hate it too. Seriously.
That is so dumb to me. When I go to people's houses and they have it under, I change it. And
Yeah, I want to have access to,
yes.
but,
What? I don't understand. That's dumb to me, but whatever. Do you prefer amusement parks or a day at the beach?
day at the beach.
What's one of your favorite beaches?
That's a good question. I would probably say Venice Beach, because there are a lot of people. You see all kinds of different people that are there. Trying to have a good time.
Yeah.
And a lot of cultures just all together.
Well, mine is probably abroad. I love, one of my favorite, well, at the time was Cancun, and I like Miami. I also love, I just like beaches. It doesn't matter to me. Now, when I went to the Bay Area last year, I didn't really like, because their beaches are like, it's a lot of rocky mountains. So that was not appealing to me. I guess I like the man-made beaches. So I wanted more, tropical beach. So yeah. You prefer phone calls or text?
Neither. I prefer probably text. When I was a kid, I used to love, or when I was younger, I used to love to talk on the phone. But as you start getting used to texting or whatever, I prefer that a little bit better.
Gotcha. I like a mixture of both. It depends. If it's just, like if my girlfriends, we talking and laughing, or I'm, dating and getting to know someone, then I'm gonna talk on the phone. But texting, like I'm on my way, stuff like that, that's different. I don't mind. So, okay, cool. All right, this is a Dallas area thing. So, do you prefer Whiskey Cafe or Kenny's wood-fired grill?
I would probably say Kenny's wood-fired grill, and the only reason because I haven't had a drink in probably like 24 years.
Really? That's
awesome. Yeah. And so whenever I go somewhere and they, do you want anything drinks? I say, yeah, can you give me some water on the rocks? And they just look at me like, okay, who is this fool? And he's asking for water on the rocks.
But Whiskey Cafe, no, that's a restaurant. You've never been there?
Is it a restaurant? Okay,
yeah, so you've never been there. Okay, well,
I've never been.
Well, another one of my favorite places, it also has a liquor in it, Winewood. Okay. Have you been there before?
I've never been to Winewood. I'm more or less of a Chinese food person.
Yeah.
You don't like Chinese food?
I like Japanese. I don't like Chinese.
You like Japanese?
Mm-hmm.
I like both. I like Japanese and Chinese food. So
what about Kobe's steakhouse next door to Kenny's? Which one do you prefer?
Kobe's.
Oh yeah, so good.
Kobe's.
I just went to Kenny's for the first time a few months ago in March. And
really?
lived in that area and never went there because it didn't look like what I thought it was. That food was amazing.
Oh, I bet.
So you've never gone to Kenny's either?
I've never gone to Kenny's either. I'm sorry.
I'm gonna need you to go to Kenny's Whiskey Cafe and Winewood. Trust me. It is some great food, and Winewood has an amazing brunch. Okay, let me do Tex-Mex then. Uncle Julio's or Mi Cocina?
Mi Cocina.
Okay. I'm torn because I love both of them. Facebook or Twitter?
Probably Facebook. Twitter's frustrating.
I have a personal and a sports page. I can't get into it. And now that Elon Musk is taking over, what do you think about that $44 billion deal he's made to take over Twitter?
He could have helped a lot of families out. He could have helped a lot of families out. He could have done something.
The world out.
Yeah. He could have. And I know this is money, and when you have money like that, you spend it the way you want to. But I just felt that, could have taken it and done something else with it to help, some of the people who, not gonna eat, for a couple of days, that are just struggling to take care of their families. But yeah.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how that goes. What's worse, doing laundry or dishes?
Dishes.
I hate dishes.
I hate dishes too. And I got a pet peeve in my house. I don't like to see any dishes like in the sink when I go to bed or wake up or whatever. So with my daughters, that's an issue.
Well, at least you have children to give chores to. It's just me.
Yeah.
And I have a dishwasher, but I'm old school. I really don't like to use it very often. I still like to wash my dishes by hand. I probably use that dishwasher maybe 5 times a year, maybe.
Wow.
And I need to start using it more. But I love doing laundry. It's weird, but it's calming for me. And I wash and fold in the same day. I don't leave them in the dryer. I just go on and get it. I don't know.
Get it done and get it out of the way.
Yep. You prefer big parties or small gatherings?
I like big parties. But I like to kind of stay in the background and just kind of observe.
Okay.
I like big crowds or whatever, but I just like to sit back and observe. I don't, necessarily want to be the center of attention. I just like to observe.
Right.
Just watch everyone have a good time.
I like both, but I think now that I'm getting older, I prefer small gatherings. Just, like some friends doing dinner or playing games, just in the house. I'm getting to that point. Do you prefer the Mavs or Cowboys?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I would say both. Just because of the support that I've got, that I've received over the years, and especially like being an independent, and to me, like being an outsider and to be able to kind of get in the inside and them giving me the opportunity to be able to cover sports. Because in the beginning, that was a challenge of being able just to, show that you were credible and that you just weren't there just to come watch the games, that you were willing to put in the work, just like the TV networks. And I think we've been able to accomplish that. So I would say both.
That's awesome. Last but not least, Dirk or Luca?
I say Dirk right now, just because Dirk's won the championship, and just because the work that he put in over the years, and just the relationship that he has in the community.
Right, I was about to say his community efforts are amazing.
Yeah, and I would say over time, if Luka develops that, then he would probably be spoken in the same breath as Dirk.
Absolutely, I agree. Well, V, it has been an honor to have you on my show. Thank you so much for joining me today. And tell the listeners how they can follow you on social media, as well as see your video magazine, D210 Sports.
D210 Sports, if you're in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex area, you can catch us on Spectrum Cable Channel 15 on Wednesday and Thursday nights. Our Twitter handle is D210S. Our Instagram handle is D210 Sports, and Facebook is also D210 Sports.
Okay. And guys, you can follow me at She Say Sports on Facebook, She Say Sports 23 on Instagram, at She Say 23 on Twitter, and please subscribe to our YouTube page, She Say Sports. Well, until next time, this is Sonia with She Say Sports.